Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Banachariya. Yamunatira Banachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Yamunatira Vanachariya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gaura Premanandi, Hare Hare. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nasta Prayesha Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 5th Canto, Chapter 4, Text 7. Brahmanyonya kuto naber Vipramangala pujitaha Yasya barhishi yagyesham Darshayamasuro jasa Brahmanyonya kuto naber Vipramangala pujitaha Yasya barhishi yagyesham Darshayam asuro jasa. Vipramangala pujitaha Yasya barhishi yagyesham Darshayam asuro jasa. Brahmanya, a devotee of the Brahmanas. Anya, any other. Kuta, where is? Nabhi, besides Maharaja Nabhi. Vipra, the Brahmanas. Mangala Pujita, well worshipped and satisfied. Yasya, of whom Barhishi, in the sacrificial arena. Yagya Isham, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the enjoyer of all sacrificial ceremonies. Darshayam Asu showed Ojasa by their Brahminical prowess. Translation. The second prayer is this: who is a better worshipper of the Brahmanas than Maharaja Nabhi? Because he worshipped the qualified Brahmanas to their full satisfaction, the Brahmanas, by their Brahminical prowess, showed Maharaja Nabhi the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana, in person. Purport. The Brahmanas engaged as priests in the sacrificial ceremony were not ordinary Brahmanas. They were so powerful that they could bring forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead by their prayers. Thus Maharaja Nabhi was able to see the Lord face to face. Unless one is a Vaisnava, he cannot call forth the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord does not accept an invitation unless one is a Vaisnava. Therefore it is said in Padma Purana, Shatkarma nipuno vipro mantra tantra visharadaha avaishnavo gurur nasyad vaishnava shwapacho guruhu. A scholarly Brahmana, expert in all subjects of Vedic knowledge, is unfit to become a spiritual master without being a Vaishnava. But a person born in a family of a lower caste can become a spiritual master if he is a Vaishnava. These Brahmanas were certainly very expert in chanting the Vedic mantras. They were competent in the performance of the Vedic rituals, and over and above this, they were Vaishnavas. Therefore, by their spiritual powers, they could call the Supreme Personality of Godhead and enable their disciple, Maharaja Nabhi, to see the Lord face to face. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments that the word Ojasa means by dint of devotional service. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshuru Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in darkest of ignorance, and my spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my humble and respectful obeisance unto him. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, it's a very beautiful prayer by the Brahmanas, recognizing Maharaja Nabhi as a perfect Vaishnava. Since the Brahmanas are dear to Krishna, to worship the Brahmanas is to please Krishna. Even Krishna received the name Brahmanya. Namo Brahmanya Devaya Go Brahmana Hitaya Cha Jagatitaya Krishnaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So he also he loved the Brahmanas. Of course, Brahmanas, Vaishnavas. You can be a Brahmana and an impersonalist also. It's possible. Or worshipper of demigods or whatever. But they are not, these Brahmanas here described are not ordinary Brahmanas. Are Brahmanas pure Vaishnavas. Because by their prayers, pure prayers, full of devotion, they could attract the Supreme Lord to appear there in the sacrificial arena. So that's very powerful, that the Lord become attracted to appear to please His devotees who are praying to Him with so much love and devotion that He feel obliged, to appear in front of them. And so, Maharaja Nabhi, the king, was able to see the Lord face to face, which is not an ordinary thing. Remember? I mean, in the Bible we have information that Saint Elijah, he heard the voice of God, and he saw a burning bush, but he didn't see the face of the Lord. And it's interesting, I found a quote in the Psalms by King David. He's saying, my dear Lord, I want to visit your temple and see your beautiful face and hear about your glories in the company of others. So it seems that, some kind of deity with the face of the Lord was available at that time in the temples, apparently. And the synagogue, we don't know for sure, but there is no much information about it. But it's interesting that King David say, I want to visit the temple to see your beautiful face. So the Lord has a face, that means He's a person. He's not impersonal. He's not just a light in the sky or a power in the sky or without a form, no. He's the Supreme Person, supremely beautiful, supremely attractive. And He's so attractive that if somebody becomes attracted to Him, loses all attraction to the so-called material beauty of this material world. That's the symptom of a real attraction. No? The real beauty is Radha Krishna, Radha Giridhari. That's the real eternal beauty, youthful eternal beauty, Kishore Kishori. Everything else is just temporary, not real, Something which is not eternal is not real, it's illusion. Like a mirage in the desert, A man looking for water in the desert, he may die out of thirst. There is no water in the desert. He may see a mirage, it looks like water, It looks like a nice lake with palm trees, And he jump, to refresh himself. But he wake to reality, the hot sun in his face. Because he's looking in the wrong place. Water there is, but not in the desert. You have to go to the forest, where there is waterfalls, there is rivers. You can quench your thirst fully there. So, most people looking for happiness in the wrong place, And they get frustrated naturally. So many people have so many mental illness, mental problems, and they talk to themselves. They so much, in disarray that they cannot understand why they're suffering. Like I was walking, chanting japa, and overheard one man speaking on the phone. He was saying to somebody, my body is a wreck, destroyed, but my mind is okay. And I thought about that. How people destroy their bodies by too much alcohol and drugs and too much sex. They destroy their health, their bodies. Their mind could be okay. I still can enjoy, no matter what. But how much the body can tolerate, how much the body can. It is like they're like trying to squeeze the body, the last drop of enjoyment out of it. Is madness. It's complete madness. Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma. Yasadu manye.
Sannapi klesha da asadeha.
Wonderful, thank you. Please translate.
Lord Rishabdev, who's coming right up soon, he says that certainly those whose life is simply dedicated to enjoying sense gratification, indriya priti, which is precisely translated as sense gratification, indriya priti, are mad. Because by engaging in such activity, they're sure to get another body which is sure to produce great suffering.
Definitely. So, the word priti can be translated also as love. So they are in love with their senses. They're enamored by the glittering of the material appearance, Phantasmagoria is an illusion. Doesn't last for long. You may see a beautiful man, beautiful woman, young, beautiful, oh great, enjoying life. For how long? Remember the poet Govinda Das, he said, Edhanna jovana putra parijana ete kyache paratitire kamala dala jala jivana taramala. Finish this. Bhajano hari pada nitire. That what is this youthful life? How much is gonna last? Friends, family, love. It's like a drop of water in the lotus flower. When the sun rises, it falls and it disappears. In the same, better knowing that all this life is temporary and full of suffering, we should worship the Supreme Lord Hari. Hari is the name of Krishna. That means He takes away all our sorrows if we take shelter of Him. So here it is. Imagine to see the Lord Himself in front of you. How blissful must be. The supreme reality, the most beautiful person, the most magnanimous personality, compassionate, loving, all the wonderful, best qualities in His person, and that's the perfection of life. That's the perfection of life. I remember one pastime, one sadhu in Vrindavan. He went there after his wife died. He went there to worship Krishna, serve Krishna. And he, lived a holy life, saintly life, no sin, nothing, no offense to anybody. He was chanting the holy name day and night. And he will visit the temple of Radha and Krishna and pray to them, And he was feeling so much love and separation from Radha and Krishna. He will be crying constantly, day and night, for their mercy. For their mercy. That's called viraha, feeling of separation. And he cried so much for so many years, he became blind. So one day he was praying in front of Radha and Krishna, and he was complaining to them that Krishna is very hard-hearted. He doesn't feel compassion for me. I've been crying day and night for so many years for His mercy, but He doesn't want to give me His mercy. And Radharani, because of her association with Him, she also became hard-hearted, and she also doesn't show mercy to me. Radha could not tolerate that. So she spoke to him. What blessing do you want from us? He said, "Oh, I just want to see you." But she said to him, "But even if we appear to you, you're blind, you can't see us." He said, "Dear Radha, that's not a problem for you. If you and your dear Krishna put each hand of yours in my eyes, I will surely see." So Radha told Krishna, "Please come, do it." And Prabhupada said, "You can be full number one, but if Radha tell Krishna, 'This is a nice devotee, please give him your mercy,' he's obliged. He's obliged because he's controlled by her love. She has so much love for Krishna. Nobody has the same love as she has. No one. The greatest love. So when she asked him something, so both Radha and Krishna came and touched his eyes with each hand, and he could see their beautiful, eternal, youthful forms of transcendental bliss and knowledge and eternity. So in the nectar of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said that this happiness, this bliss in the Krishna consciousness resemble the pure sugar cane juice. Very, very sweet. But at the same time, it's very hot. If you drink it, it will burn your tongue. But it's so sweet, you can't stop drinking. Because it's the nectar of immortality. So, what that means, that it burns your tongue, means makes you detached from everything else. And that's difficult because we've been in this material world for so many lives. We developed so many attachments, so many bad habits, so many things. So to get rid of all that, takes not only time, but actual surrender. And Krishna promised, those who surrender to me fully, I will give them protection. Protection from Maya, from his powerful illusory potency, which is very powerful. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya duratyaya mam evaye prapadyante mayametam tarantite. Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, this very powerful energy of mind, divine, is divine, Daivi. Material energy is also divine. It's very difficult to overcome. But those who surrender to me can overcome it very easily. The example given is this material was sometimes compared to an ocean of ignorance, very difficult to cross. Some people try to cross it by mental speculation or pious activities, And the comparison is given is like if you go to the beach here and you want to cross over and you just grab the tail of a dog, okay, take me to the other side. It's not going to happen. Both the dog and you are going to drown in the ocean. So to depend on your mental power, or mental speculation, or your own pious deeds is not going to work to cross this immeasurable ocean of ignorance. But when one surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna, fully surrender, then that big ocean becomes the water that is contained in a calf footprint. Very easily to cross over. You just jump over it. One symbol in Krishna's lotus feet is the conch shell. And the meaning of that is that if one surrender at the lotus feet of Krishna, all the water of the material ocean of ignorance will fit very easily there. So there are very beautiful poetic metaphors in the Holy Scriptures, in the Vedas, and very inspiring, to help us understand better the meaning of human life. What is the purpose of human life? Purpose of human life is not sense gratification. It is self-realization. First, one has to understand oneself, who I am, why am I suffering, what is there after death, Then one have to understand Atma Ruchi, that is called, attraction to oneself, to the soul. So many people talk about loving oneself, isn't it? It's very popular nowadays. Love yourself, take care of yourself. But most people don't know what is the real self. They think the self is the body, the mind. But no. Could be in the sense that the word Atma can mean the body, the mind, or the soul. But we are the soul, we are not the body, nor the mind. So the real self is the spirit soul. And we have to take care of that. We have to nurture the soul. The body has needs: eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And if we are not the body, what are the needs of the soul? 3. The soul has 3 needs. Spiritual shelter, spiritual food, and spiritual satisfaction, pleasure. When we don't know about the spiritual life, we try to satisfy those needs in the material way. But when somebody takes to Krishna consciousness, it can satisfy these 3 needs fully. When Prabhupada was in Venezuela giving a lecture, one man asked the question, there are so many religions that say they have the light, the enlightening. How do we know which one is the true? And Prabhupada's answer was very practical. He said, if you enter a room and the light is on, you don't need to ask what is the light. You're already seeing it, it's there. If you are eating, if you are hungry and you start eating, and when you finish eating, you don't need that somebody comes to you and tell you, sir, I'm going to give you a certificate that you're not hungry anymore. You don't need such certificate. Who else but you knows better that you are satisfied? And how spiritual life works actually when we practice it, nicely, properly. It's like eating. What happens when you're hungry and you eat? Two things. Your hunger diminishes and your satisfaction increases. Isn't? Yeah. When you're satisfied, and if somebody brings you, nice, birthday cake, okay, you satisfied your hunger. You can't eat anymore. You say, no, thank you, not interested. I'm full. So in the same way, when we follow properly the practice of devotional service, we will feel that's so much satisfaction that even if the illusory energy, try to tempt us, this is here or that, you say, no, thank you, not interested. You lose interest. You just lose interest. That's called param drishtva nivartate, to have a higher taste. When one actually experiences the higher taste, the proof is Maya can come to you and you can say, no, thank you, not interested. That's the proof. So this is very important to understand in practicality how spiritual life works, So we can falena parishyate, that you can judge something by the result. That's Nyaya philosophy, the logic philosophy. So Krishna consciousness is a really scientific process, and if you follow it properly, it will give the result, undoubtedly. But we need to have three things. Enthusiasm, patience, and endeavor with confidence. It will happen. Because Krishna promised this, it will happen. We have to have that much faith. We have just to do it the right way, be patient, enthusiastic, and keep endeavoring to remain always Krishna conscious. Always remember Krishna, never forget Him. Krishna matirastu, that's the best blessing. May your mind always be fixed on Krishna. That's the best blessing. This reminds me one pastime of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda. They were walking on the street of Navadvip, and suddenly Lord Chaitanya asked Nityananda, who live in this house? Oh, there lives a sannyasi. Oh, let's visit him. So they went to the sannyasi house, and they were shocked. The sannyasi was living with the lady. So he was a fallen sannyasi, Still, he received them, please come to my home. And he offered them fruit, some fruit. They accepted, they ate the fruit. Although he was a fallen sannyasi, they accepted his service. And then the sannyasi told them, should I bring Ananda? Ananda means bliss. But Lord Chaitanya asked Nityananda what he means by that. And Nityananda whispered in Lord Chaitanya's ear, he means wine. And Lord Chaitanya said, let's leave this house immediately. They run away from there, No, first, before that happened, he started, oh, you are young Brahmins, boys, let me give you some blessing. So he gave Lord Chaitanya some blessing. May you have a long life, may you have a beautiful wife, a lot of riches, all material blessings, And Lord Chaitanya protested. Oh, I was expecting better blessing from you being a sannyasi, and the sannyasi became angry. He said, I traveled all over India. I gave blessing to so many people. Nobody protested my blessing. You are the first one to protest my blessing. And Nityananda Prabhu came to the rescue. No, please forgive him. He's a great devotee of Krishna. He's not interested in material enjoyment. Oh, okay, fine. But when he offered the wine as Ananda as bliss, there is no bliss in the wine, So, I was giving recently a lecture to one sacred museum art in Mexico, and the subject came about wine. because I explained our principles. One of our principles is no alcohol or drugs, whatever. And one lady asked, but what is the problem drinking a little cup of wine? What is the big deal? I told her the problem is not the little thing. The problem is you want the bottle afterward. I told her in the Vatican there are many clinics for alcoholic priests, because they're not satisfied just the little cup and the mass. They need to have the bottle, in their room, So I mean to say, if something is not good for you, why don't give it completely? And I told her, besides that, the word wine in the Bible is mistranslated. The original word means grape juice without fermentation. The original word. The same thing with food. The word broma trophe means food. But they mistranslated as meat and fish. The original word doesn't explain exactly what kind of food, just say edibles, food. But this mistranslation. Even those scholars who know Aramaic and Old Greek, they found that. They themselves discovered that. So anyway, the real nectar of life is not wine or drugs or this or that. People are so frustrated with their life, they try to forget their miseries by taking alcohol and drugs, and they become addicted to them, and they suffer even more. The addiction. I knew one man who visited our temples, and he was chanting Hare Krishna for some time, and then I didn't see him for a long time. Then I saw him, he told me what happened in his life. He said, I felt in bad company and started taking heroin. I became addicted to heroin. At the beginning, it was so euphoric that I was thanking Krishna for knowing heroin and taking it. But after a few months, I was waking up from bed shaking. I could not stop shaking. I have to take the shot just to calm down. Was no euphoria anymore. Was only misery. But then I came back to the temple, start praying to Krishna, start chanting Hare Krishna again, and with the help of the devotees, I could give it up, And I'm so grateful that Krishna saved me from that. I remember when we started in Spain in '79, we had acquired a new farm, nearby Madrid, 1 hour from there. And one journalist came to stay 2 weeks in our temple, on the farm, just to know the devotees and make an article about them, So he went to the nearby town, was 5 miles away from the farm, to ask people, what do you think about your new neighbors, the Hare Krishnas? And he spoke to the one Christian priest in charge of a church, there. And he told him, don't you worry that the Hare Krishna may take away your, what do you call? Your visitor, your followers, those who go to the church, what they call them? Parishioners. Yeah, parishioners. Don't you worry they may take your parishioners? And the priest laughed and said, no, I don't worry at all. Why? Because I'm not going to never prohibit them from drinking wine or going with women or eating meat. So they're not going to leave me. I'm sure of that. I don't worry about it. So these things are not easy to give up, for majority of people. Prabhupada tells the story of his godbrother, Bon Maharaj, who went to preach in London in the 30s. And one lord, from royalty, he approached him, say, can you make me a brahmana? I want to be initiated as a brahmana. He said, yeah, of course, yes, but you have to give up illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. And the man said, impossible. Not possible to do that. So the only way to give up all these things is to develop a higher taste, higher satisfaction. It's not possible otherwise. Artificially not possible. So if we develop a taste in Krishna consciousness, that's the way to overcome the allurement of the material energy, which is very powerful, you know. Prahlad Maharaj in the Hari Bhakti Sudodai, a book, transcendental book, he said, when devotees chant the names of the Lord and feel bliss, and the hair of their body stand on end, that act as a shield to protect them from the attacks of illusory energy, Maya. So the secret to be well situated in spiritual life is to be happy. If you're happy in Krishna consciousness, nothing can, make you fall down. Prabhupada said devotee must be happy. If he's morose, he's not devotee yet. He's on the way to becoming devotee. So that's very important. So thank you very much for coming, listening to Bhagavatam. Are there any comments or questions? Dr. Daniel?
Thank you so much. Just that last part, you're saying that being happy in Krishna consciousness is the success. How does one either obtain the happiness? I know by like singing, chanting, and that, but how does like you maintaining that happiness? Because there's sometimes, is it okay to be sad also in like Krishna consciousness? Like, oh, where are you, Krishna? Where are you? Like that kind of sadness.
Well, that's another type of happiness too. To miss Krishna is not mundane sorrow. It's transcendental, It's another type of ecstasy. Once Prabhupada, for 3 days, he will not speak much, and he looked like sad. So the devotee thought maybe he's sick or doesn't feel well. So they asked him, they dared to ask him after, a couple of days, 2-3 days. And Prabhupada said, no, I'm very fine. I'm just missing Krishna. So it looked like sadness, it looks like sorrow, but it's actually ecstasy, feeling this separation from Krishna is the price to pay to attain His mercy, because, it's not mundane, it's not suffering, it's another type of ecstasy. It looked like externally like that, but isn't? Yes.
Maharaj, if I could give an example that I think you'll appreciate.
Please do.
Learning to play a musical instrument is that you've heard someone play. Usually, what happens is you get inspired. You hear. I heard so many flautists in my day.
Yeah.
I said, I'd like to do that. I think I can do that. So, in my case, my father bought me a flute. And then I had to go to a teacher. And at first I couldn't even make a sound on that flute. So I wasn't feeling the bliss of playing music. But I had faith that if I go through this austerity and I pay at that time like $4, $5 for the lesson.
Yeah.
It's way back when that was worth something. That I'll be able to do that. Because I'd seen others who had done it. Some of my friends had gone through that, and they could play other instruments and things like that. So I had faith. And then when you go through it, and eventually you have a breakthrough, and you begin to make a sound, and before long you're playing, and you're experiencing the bliss. So it's the same thing. We have our sadhana, and sometimes there's dry periods. But the great thing about Krishna consciousness is that even in the dry periods, in a nice kirtan or something, you're feeling some ecstasy. You're feeling some bliss. We're not feeling, overwhelming bliss rolling on the ground, but we're happy. And if you notice, at that point, you're not at all attracted to sense gratification.
Yes.
And then because of the mind, you forget that. They asked me to do this. Now I have to do this. And I have to clean the bathroom. And so where's the bliss? But the point is that if you read and you understand, like the verse came to mind, you were actually citing a verse. Tushti pushti chudapaya nagasam, taking a meal,
Yes.
And so you have faith, and if you practice, gradually you come to the point where there's never really despair, and there's always some happiness, and in other words, you come to the point of always being able to.
Yes, yes. I mean to say, at the beginning, naturally, you may have ups and downs. That's normal for everyone. It's not like you are all the time you will be in bliss, then you will be a pure devotee, you know. But at the beginning, sometimes there are ups and downs. That's normal. It's part of the purification process, you know. So we have to prove to Krishna that we are sincere. And how we do that, even if we are not feeling so well, we are going through some difficulty in our life, we don't look for something to alleviate our suffering through sense gratification. No. We have to be like the Chataka bird. The Chataka bird doesn't drink water, but only from the cloud. If the cloud, instead of water, give him a thunderbolt, he will not go to search water elsewhere. So that's real. There is a such bird that doesn't drink water elsewhere but from the cloud. It's called Chataka. So that's the example given, that it doesn't matter what happens in our life, how we feel sad or happy or whatever, we shall not go for anyone else but Krishna for our happiness, our well-being, our shelter. And that's a symptom of surrender. Krishna is my only maintainer, my only protector, my only provider. Besides him, I have no other shelter. That's what we are looking to come to that point. Atmanivedan, surrender. So gradually we surrender. I mean, it's a gradual process, not going to happen overnight. But if we are patient and we endeavor with confidence, and we keep the enthusiasm, good company of devotees, and avoid bad companies, then we are in the right track, you know. I remember I was giving a lecture in one college in San Antonio, Texas. And one younger student challenged me. He said, "Can you tell me honestly that you're happy?" And my answer was, "Yes. I know where real happiness is, and I'm walking toward it. And that walking makes me very happy." I said, "That's an honest answer. I like it. Thank you." You know, he was satisfied with that answer. So we at least we are searching in the right place, you know. Going to the forest looking for water. We are not searching the desert. We know there is no water there. So at least that knowledge, that understanding is very important to start a spiritual life, you know, to begin a spiritual life. That we have to search in the right place, not in the wrong one. And of course, the road is not always smooth, you know. Sometimes there are thorns in the way. Don't think everything is going to be a bed of roses on the way back home, back to Godhead. No. We are going to be tested in so many ways. But if we are sincere and pray to Krishna for his help, his protection, then we are going to receive help. We are going to rectify ourselves. Commit mistakes is human, but to rectify is wise. So it's very important to learn our lessons in the spiritual life and overcome our weaknesses of heart and try to surrender every day a little more, you know. Yes. Does anybody have any other question?
If you'll permit me, I wrote a poem about the Chataka.
Please do.
Just to take a
we want to hear it.
I know it's very rude of me, but
no, not at all.
The Chataka subsists on rain it catches in midair, and so it's always praying to the cloud to send its fare. Yet though that cloud may send a thunderbolt instead of rain, that bird continues praying fervently despite the pain. Just like the Chataka, I fixed my mind upon one goal, and that is you, O Lord, most kind to every fallen soul. So whether it is punishment you send, or mercy sweet, I'll always pray to you for service to your lotus feet.
That was beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Kavi, he's a poet.
At a japa retreat years and years ago, and Giriraj Swami was there. This was up in Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
And I chanted that, and afterward, later he wrote me a letter. Can you please send me that one?
She liked that. It's beautiful. It's great. I also wrote something about the Chataka bird. But smaller, smaller thing. That the same way that if a baby doesn't cry, the mother will not feed him. Has to cry to attract the attention of the mother, So the same way, if Krishna doesn't show his mercy, if the devotee doesn't cry for the mercy, if the cloud doesn't cry, how the Chataka bird will smile? All right, thank you very much for coming, listening to Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.